Mike.
I'm Brad.
And this is Ministry Chemistry.
Good. Can you say it faster?
Here we go.
It is finally time. Brad, are you ready?
A 1, a 2.
We can finally talk about Christmas. Mike, how excited are you? Your silence and facial expressions are deafening.
He loves Christmas.
Do you love Christmas?
In July.
He hates
So,
Christmas in
all right.
July.
So this is a two-edged sword for me.
Ooh, like a double-edged sword?
Yeah.
But it's two-edged? All
Hey,
I want for
you-
Christmas is my two
Hey,
front
play
teeth.
nice. It's the holidays. Come on. Fix your face.
So it's
your
a
face.
double-edged sword. My wife has slowly been polishing the Scrooge off me for 10 years now.
Okay.
With
okay.
what?
But and she succeeded to some degree. The problem is
Oh, yeah, there's a problem.
my wife is the exemplar of excess when it comes to Christmas.
What does that mean?
Like, she listens to Christmas music year round.
My hero.
She is very much in love with Hallmark in July.
Oh, well,
When
no.
they run the Christmas in July
Jess,
and they're
come
playing
on.
all the cheesy Christmas movies.
Seriously.
She started watching Hallmark Christmas movies October 25th.
Is it
when
only
they started
Hallmark,
running them.
Or is it Lifetime and ABC Family? Or not
It's
ABC Family, what
pretty,
is it? Freeform.
It's pretty much
So
much
dumb.
Hallmark. Yeah. This is she's this obsessed with Hallmark. We were talking fairly recently about cutting the cord with cable.
Uh-huh.
So I was searching out some platforms that would get what we want. It's basically, I'm like, as long as I've got some semblance of sports, I'm good.
Okay.
We
It's about
pretty
you.
much watch
Yeah.
our shows on like Amazon or Netflix. And she's like, as long as we have the Hallmark channel, I'm okay.
As long as I can see a snow globe exploded onto the screen in 37 different varieties, I'm good.
Telling the same story over and over and over
No,
again.
everyone is at their despairing moment at the holidays and they find true love. It's been the story of my life.
I will give them. There's
Over and
probably
over
there's
and
probably
over.
there's probably a rotation of 5 like storylines. Usually it involves like a single mom or a single dad. That's probably like
A single person. There is some sort of element of loneliness.
there's always a single
Like,
person.
Always a single person. Whatever that
Always
looks
a
like.
single person.
Then there's an element of like villainous activity, right? Like
No, that's Lifetime.
like antagonistic, like
Yeah.
not only are they lonely, but oh no, so down on their luck, they must look to another human for help and hope.
Claire has always won the Christmas cookie contest, and she's going to do everything she can to win it
Oh
again
my
this
gosh,
year.
Was that last night? That sounds terrible.
No,
He's
but I'm-
he's reading
But
that.
I've seen but I've seen that one.
Looking
I've
at the
seen
back of
that.
the jacket.
Yeah.
Joseph lost his job again for no
But you know
fault
what?
of his
It's-
own, except his intense anger problems
There's
that
one
can only be solved by
There's one great thing.
Christmas.
There's one great thing about Hallmark Channel.
Okay, go.
It has become a second career for many washed up actors and actresses.
That's true.
Like Winnie from the Wonder Years. Man.
And Clarissa explains it all about Christmas often. My
Yeah.
favorite Christian artist, Kirk Cameron, his sister has found real success
Oh,
in
yeah.
the holiday
Yeah.
films.
And what's her name? The younger Duff. Is it Haley Duff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's in a lot of those
You
too.
know, now that we're
The
talking
younger
about this, the younger Duff.
The
One of the Mean Girls. So
I never.
you never saw the movie Mean Girls?
We've
One of
talked
the
about
Mean
this.
Girls.
Terrible
was Lacey
movie.
Lambert or some.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was also on like Party of Five.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know what you're
Yeah,
talking about
she's
now.
in-
I did
she's in
watch
some
Party
of
of
those, too.
5.
And Mario Lopez has made appearances.
Well,
I know.
It's Mario Lopez.
Yeah, so yeah, Mario Lopez, right? Like
Slater.
AC Slater.
Yeah.
So good.
Brad
Yep. He hasn't changed much.
No, he still has the dimples
Has
and the
less
really good
curl.
hair.
Less mullet.
Less curl.
yeah,
less
but
mullet.
still really good hair.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, yeah. Anyway,
He
that's-
had
Go ahead.
This goes back to sexual chocolate. He had some soul glow going on
Yeah,
in
he
Saved
did.
by the Bell. I think
shiny.
AC Slater could have been a spokesman for Soul Glow.
For Soul Glow.
Yeah, he could have been the white spokesman for Soul Glow.
And yet,
He's not
white. And yet,
Yeah. He's
His-
Lat-
no, you
he's,
can't. You
he's
can't
Lat-
add
his,
it.
his
He's
family's
not.
real name was Sanchez.
he's
But
Latino.
they had to change it because his father was going into the military.
Really?
Yes.
His name is Mario Lopez. Yeah, so.
So he
didn't
could have
change it
been
that much.
So okay,
I said AC Slater. They changed it.
Oh, in the,
In the
show.
show.
In the show.
forgive
Oh.
my stupidity.
Okay.
He could have
We-
been
we'll
the
try.
Latino spokesman for
I didn't
Soul
call
Glow.
you stupid. Ignorance different than stupid, isn't it?
Stupid is stupid does, sir.
Which is not a holiday movie, but love Christmas.
Are we gonna have that discussion?
Oh, we will not today.
Okay,
but
we're not gonna go Die Hard.
Look for it. We not today.
Okay.
Yeah.
we
Because
will.
today I want to talk about the permission that Christmas seems to give each and every one of us. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Should I elaborate a little bit more?
You should elaborate because we do, but no one else does.
Okay.
Well, I'm thinking you're gonna go. This is a continuation of the excess of Thanksgiving that we talked about 2 weeks ago.
Well, not so much. This is actually the freedom that Christmas seems to give people to talk about their faith, to invite, to be joyful, to say work doesn't matter today because I'm going to go Christmas shopping with my kids. Like there is just such a freedom and permission when it comes to Christmas time.
When you talk
Do you
about
notice this?
when you talk about shopping, Christmas shopping with your kids, and joyful at the same time, I think you've misconstrued what that is.
No, I mean I've seen people take off work and
Shut
say,
up and get in the car.
"We're not going to school. We're not going to work today. We're doing this
You're that
because
parent?
Christmas."
Because Christmas. Right. Hey, why don't you go to school so I can do all this other stuff? Because of Christmas.
Because Christmas.
I can't think of
Yeah.
the Chevy Chase line now, but you just reminded me of Christmas Vacation.
Mm.
It's like we're all in this together.
All in this together. Yes. Yes, right? So have you seen this? Have you observed this? Do you feel this sense of it's Christmas and that means this now?
I must be in a cynical mood today because when you said that, when you talked
Just
about
today?
the freedom
Mike.
to talk about your faith and stuff, all I could think about was happy holidays.
Oh, like instead of saying Merry Christmas?
Yeah.
Oh, I love saying
Yeah,
Merry
we're
Christmas.
gonna put
to people.
we're
and
gonna
I
get
don't do it with a snark or a smirk. I legit love, and I feel like it's a very communal exchange
Is that so 2018?
to say Merry Christmas.
No, though the whole happy holidays
Yeah, I don't
controversy.
think anyone cares. Like people have said that's dumb. Nobody really cares about that. Because if someone were to say to me Happy Hanukkah, I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so thoughtful. Thank you." And Merry Christmas to you. Like I don't think I get to say Happy Hanukkah, but okay, you know? Like I don't
I
Does
think
it
you
mean-
can.
I don't say Happy Kwanzaa. Like I
Yeah.
don't say Happy Hanukkah.
Well, that's a fake holiday.
Whoa. There
Wow.
goes those
That-
listeners. Not
Trust me, we don't have anyone who celebrates Kwanzaa. Guarantee
yet.
it.
Growth mindset.
No, we don't. We
But
don't.
do you observed this, or do you feel so you don't feel the freedom of Christmas that Christmas brings?
I'm a Christmas person.
Yeah,
so
you are. I love it.
I feel it. and I'm
Feel
and I'm
it
in
in
it.
my fingers.
You're what?
I feel
I have
it in my
more
toes.
Christmas joy than probably anybody else in my family.
Ooh.
Mm.
How does
Challenge.
that? How does that feel?
I have an
Uh,
idea. I have a great
it's-
idea. You should come live at my house after Thanksgiving, and I will live at yours. And I think it would be a more pleasant experience all around.
Jill and I don't have that kind of relationship. Man. So,
I'll sleep on the couch.
That's
You
good.
can sleep in the basement.
I'm with Brad on this one, man.
his basement's finished now.
Stay in
so it's
your
nice.
Scroogey
I
Christmas
feel
lane.
like him and Jess would share that joy more completely.
Your house would glow.
It already does.
Here's the thing I know about Brad. He can't help but feel this way around Christmas.
Yeah.
Something about this whole thing makes me think you, Mr. Mike, feels some sort of need to like counterbalance the joy that is otherwise expressed in your home to be like, hey guys,
Pretty sure you just said I sucked the joy out of Christmas.
no, on purpose though, like you mean to, like you're like, hey guys,
Well, I
He's
guess I
Mr. Potter.
if we're gonna get excited about anything, let's
I
not
can
make
be.
it this.
I guess I can be a little bit of an antagonist.
Mhm.
Poke the bear, the Christmas bear.
Yeah, yeah. I can be.
A little bit.
I can be.
And your kids are just a delight, so I'm sure they're like, "Shut up, Dad. This is how we do."
This is how we do.
You know, they're
I
wearing
wanna
green
hear
and
Drew
red
say
every
that.
day.
If my kids ever said that, I think I would just knock their heads together. So you will appreciate this. This is a side note. My wife exposed my kids to Go Tell It on the Mountain. Well,
Why wouldn't she?
they sing No Tell It on the Mountain. And I've corrected them, and they don't care. They don't care.
A very underrated Christmas carol that I love.
They have definitely taken on more of Mama's joy of Christmas than Daddy's
Scrooginess?
Scrooge. Yeah.
What is it? Let's just have a moment for Mike. This is a moment for Mike. Why Scroogey, buddy?
The earliest identifier is I think it was sophomore year of college. I got a job at Walmart in the Lawn and Garden Center
Enough said.
at the end of September.
Wait,
And
lawn and garden?
yeah, that's where
The trees, the trees.
that's where Christmas. That's where Walmart transitions lawn and garden. That's like that becomes like their main holiday section.
garland and the wreaths.
So
I thought Mike
at
was
the
going to say that's where Christmas goes to die.
it kind of does. Actually, that's where the Christmas spirit goes to die.
Aw.
Is Walmart in general. The lawn and garden section is like the purgatory of that death.
Did you get yelled at?
No, it's just so I got hired in September, which is right about the time they're transitioning from like summer lawn care season into Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent that whole winter loading Christmas trees and stocking and dealing with people who
And I
yeah.
hate people.
You love people.
I love most people.
Not Christmas people.
Oh.
This will sound yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm not a fan of Walmart in general. Maybe it's just working there. Yeah. Walmart reminds me of all that's wrong with our society.
Wow. Talk about loving people as yourself. Why do you hate God?
So
do you hate
yeah,
Arkansas?
that's where Scroogeness started. And like I
Started.
said, Jess has been polishing that
So
away.
before
Good job, Jess.
Walmart,
Sanctification.
you were a joyous Christmas person?
Well, and here's the
Good call,
other
good
here's
call.
the other part of that, and this goes like so much deeper. When my grandparents were alive, that was the gathering place on Christmas Eve, and when so my grandpa died first, and then my grandma, and when my grandma died, like everything about the holidays changed because that was no longer the gathering
Yeah.
place, and then slowly those large family gatherings got smaller and smaller, and they got a little bit more segmented.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that like broken piece of Christmas.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I've been a part of churches that host a blue Christmas service, typically on the winter solstice if they can, but it's the Sunday before.
The darkest day of the year.
Typically, it's on the darkest day of the year is when it's encouraged to be, but often it falls on the Sunday evening before Christmas, whatever that date might be, to allow a space of contemplation and reflection and maybe quieter Christmas celebration.
Do
for-
they play Blue Christmas?
Nope. No, that
They
would
should.
be a little irreverent to the to the sacredness of the space that they're trying to create. To say, hey, everything's
It
not
fits the mood of the service.
the
though.
holly and the ivy. But only because you love Elvis when he sings it.
I do love Elvis.
Yeah, no, that's not this space. But I get that.
Favorite Elvis movie?
I don't know.
Have you watched
Really?
any Elvis movies?
Seriously?
No.
And you call yourself
There it
an
is.
Elvis fan?
I don't call myself an Elvis fan. I
So-
call myself an Elvis Christmas album fan.
While we
I don't like the entire Elvis catalog.
dove into the, sadness of your Christmas spirit, let's talk about Brad.
Yeah,
Why
please talk about me.
do you love it so much? And why do you just have this joy and glow about you when it comes to Christmas?
All I can think is King and Country when you say that. Joy, let it move.
Well, much like Mike, my joy came from Walmart too. No,
When he lost, you gained.
I got it in other
In this kingdom
areas.
economy of like finite resources.
Much like Mike,
Not
my
true.
grandparents' house was also the gathering place for all holiday activity.
Mm.
My immediate family would go over there on Christmas Eve. It was just my immediate family, and it was so special. And then the rest of the clan would come over the next day, and it would be loud, and lots of food would be consumed and everything. It was wonderful. My dad was not a holiday person, especially Christmas. So it was almost like Christmas was my excuse to be overly positive and excited about life, to counteract that, and it just never left. I love all the, whatever you would call it, all the excitement, all of the holiday cheer.
The holiday cheermeister.
The heat miser.
Yeah.
It's just special.
It is special. There is something about beyond Jesus, and I know that sounds weird to say, but people take time and people invest in others and in traditions or family rituals just differently during this season. So for me, I'm a quality time person. That's my number one love language. And so people taking the time and the space to say, we're not going to worry about what it says on the clock. We're all going to gather, and all you have to worry about is being here, being present, and being with others. And all those others that are around are going to love on you, and you get to love them. And there's just this like kind of world stoppage around Christmas time. And I relish that. Like, my favorite part of any vacation that I go on is when I lose all track of time. And I don't know if it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or what it is. And then you get so sad at the end because not only do you have to leave this other place, but then you're like, I have to return to the world where there's, I don't know if it's expectations or there's just a rigidity that doesn't seem to exist at Christmas.
Different expectations.
Different expectations. And so I wonder how we, as leaders in the church, as leaders of our families, leaders in our workplaces, or just neighbors, are helping infuse this permission into the spaces where we are. Or do you think more often than not, we add to the chaos and add to the stress? What have you experienced most from the majority of people in your lives? An intentionality of stopping and living into the permission Christmas gives, or?
Well, it's funny. You mentioned like not paying attention to the clock. So I grew up in a split home. So our routine was the night before Christmas Eve, I stayed with my dad. We had Christmas morning at his house on Christmas Eve. Then we went to his parents' house, that side of the family, and we did that in the afternoon. And then he would take me home, and then my mom and I would go to her side of the family. There's always been a clock on me for Christmas, like since I was a kid. But it was like when I got to my mom's side of the family, which as a kid I was more connected to. That's changed through the years, but that was when the clock kind of shut off. That was like the end point of Christmas Eve, and I no longer paid attention to the clock. But yeah, I mean, there's always been a rush and busyness of Christmas since I was a kid.
Interesting.
Because of that, because the family was a split home.
So what I have relished, the non-existence of, you've only existed in and not relished.
I relish it more now.
Okay.
Like, Christmas morning, it's like, what are we going to do today? That question never enters our thought process. We know what we're going to do today. We're going to wake up, we're going to have whatever breakfast,
Donuts.
Yeah, and we're gonna open presents, and we're just gonna enjoy each other and the gifts we've lavished on each other for the rest of the day. We might not leave our pajamas on Christmas Day.
That was the other thing about my
fantastic.
growing up is we didn't change out of our pajamas on Christmas Day. My parents, when they were married and even after they divorced, were very intentional about, if you want to see us on Christmas Day, Mom always had a pot of chili on. We had the donuts. Like, you are welcome to come. And we had neighbors come, some grandparents. Like, we had people that would come because they were out and about. But we never had to leave or change out of pajamas. And it was, again, that freedom of minimal expectations. You just get to be, and floating all around in that, which is great. So do you find people are more likely to share their faith or to share that they believe in Jesus during this time of year? Or no, it doesn't really change?
It, yeah.
Have you met people that you're like, I didn't even know you went to church, and then they're like,
Yeah,
oh,
twice a year.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm a creaster.
yeah, that's a good. That's what I was thinking. I think the the line that probably we would draw, and maybe it's not our place to do that, but the line we would draw between like true believer and fringe gets blurry around Christmas.
Yeah.
Because people who have no affiliation with faith whatsoever, all of a sudden, oh yeah, I go to church and I celebrate the birth of Christ and all this. It gets blurry.
I'm going to push back just a little bit
Yeah,
on your
do it.
semantics.
Do it.
I don't know if true believer is the right phraseology, if not follower versus fringe is a great word, but like I think I follow daily, whereas someone might say, I believe all that happened, I just don't feel the need to go to church.
Well, this is the argument that you and I have had over and over on the semantics of words. Because it's like, is there a difference between follower and true believer?
Well, and in this regard, I think it gets very important because someone who says Christmas Eve we go, and I do believe in the virgin birth, belief is all it takes for Jesus to say that one's mine.
Ooh.
Or is it? Or are we going to do
on the next episode?
Or are we going to do a works-based righteousness conversation? And I know the transformation of a heart, and I'm not trying to stick up for only going to church on Christmas and Easter. But again, where's the permission and freedom that they can experience versus the, hey, it's good seeing you here again 8 months later.
Where you been?
Where you been, right? And a pastor that focuses on that in the message, like, we miss you when you're not around, is that a shame statement to some? Or should it be said? Because it's true. We miss you when you're not around. You're not here, and we don't get to see you.
Yes.
So I wonder what kind of permission is given there because it's Christmas. And then I've been to churches where in my opinion, the Christmas message is phoned in so that no one is offended. And we're not really even sharing the gospel because we just want everyone to have that feel-good sense of, I was reminded why we go to church on Christmas. La, la, la.
Oh, that really ties into the title of permissiveness of Christmas.
Yeah.
Because, there's plenty of people who are scared to step on toes. It's like,
Right.
well, I know more people brought in their family. There's people visiting because
We
it's
need
Christmas
to be thoughtful
Eve.
of that. We don't want to offend.
Man, if we were courageous and really wanted to live out Jesus, we would use that opportunity
Absolutely.
to present the gospel in its fullness.
I've been in a Christmas planning conversation where specifically the message of Christmas Eve was discussed. And we were talking about what direction it might be best to go in that year. And unanimously around the table, maybe it's because we're all followers, but we were like, bring the gospel. Do not shy away. Like, put the hard press on. We're not talking altar calls necessarily. That's not our tradition, but it's okay to not just tell sweet, sentimental anecdotes. And then I have family members who say, oh my gosh, I've heard this story a million times. I wanted something new and fresh and sweet, sentimental anecdotes because I already know. And it's like,
Watch the Hallmark Channel.
but that doesn't mean you have to tire of it. And it doesn't mean everyone in the room knows.
I've thought about that before. Like, obviously in the youth world, we don't get to preach on Christmas Eve or
No.
Easter. those are off limits for the
Couple
youth
days
pastors.
later.
Yeah, the weekend after, maybe the weekend before. Not the weekend before Easter, definitely. But it's like, would you change it up, or would you preach the same message and try to bring a freshness to a familiar story? Because there's something too, like we've talked about it with teenagers. Are sometimes more prone to checking out because they think they've heard the story before.
Absolutely.
But
And
I think it's worth like reiterating and a reminder of, hey, we're not going to change the story. The story is what it is, and you've heard it before, but there's a reason it gets reiterated over and over. Like,
And I appreciate the weight that comes with that responsibility on whoever teaches on Christmas Eve, whichever pastor is in that space, to say, I've done this 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, 40 times, and yet I get to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And the story is still true, and I have permission from God, my Father, Jesus, my Savior, the Holy Spirit inside of me to share the story again.
Christmas Eve here is, excuse me, probably my favorite time. Shocking, I know. But it's because everything slows down. Our Christmas Eve service is called a Hush and the Rush. And so everything, all the lighting is low, all the music is low, and there's an intentionality to it, a kind of intimacy that's set. But the last few years, we've broken things up. So each of the pastors tells a different part of the story from a different perspective. So we've been given a certain character in the story, and we have 8 minutes to tell our part of the story, or what we would think, how we would experience that ourselves. And everybody has such a different style. Everybody has a different take on what that is. And so it is a fresh story in a story that's told every year. And it's a different way to engage more people because it's not the same talking head up there all the time.
That's beautiful.
And it's awesome. It is absolutely awesome.
So to you listening, we hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And we're going to ask you this week to consider, where do you feel extra special permissions of freedom, of joy, of invitation, of faith sharing, of stopping a typical day in the life of you and your family to really take in the opportunities that Jesus has placed before you? For Ministry Chemistry, I'm Renee.
Still Mike.
And Brad.
We'll talk to you next time.